Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. Today I wanted to give updates on my Scindapsus collection because it has been over 3 months since I've done that, and they are my favorite genus. I love every opportunity to talk about them that I can. I feel like they are still really underrated, honestly. And Nutmeg likes them too. He loves posing up here on my shelf with them. Whenever I'm taking photos of my plants, he loves sniffing them. So he must find something interesting about them too. It is just about afternoon nap time for him. I always seem to film videos when it is exactly my cat's nap time, but that's totally okay because that means he'll hang out in the room while I'm talking about plants, which is great. I love when he's around. Sometimes he likes to help when I'm doing plant tours, so maybe he'll do that later. But for now, let's talk about my Scindapsus, give some updates about how the collection is doing. And we're gonna start with my only trailing one, actually. And that would be my Silver Lady here from Wild Roots. There isn't too much to report about it. The runners on it are still very long. It's probably got a couple new leaves since we last talked about my Scindapsus collection back in June, but this is just a really pretty plant that I love having in my collection. I would eventually love to have this climbing. I think it would look great as a shingling plant, and it would go back to putting leaves out about this size again, which is ideal, but because it's not really hurting for anything, it's not super high on my priority list just because it's hanging out, it's having a good time right now. So this is something I'd like to do once I get every single other plant taken care of. I have a lot of repotting and things to do, a lot of propagating. So this is not high on the priority list, but it is something I would like to get done eventually. Other than that, it's just gonna continue to put out runners that I will propagate every now and then, but just when I feel like it. But other than that, it's just a really nice plant that I enjoy having. It lives on top of the Fabricore over here, and it's just a really, really nice plant overall. This is a plant that I recently gave some TLC and it is responding pretty well. This is my Scindapsus Blue Splash. I do think the leaves look slightly more blue than silver. I have a lot of silvery Scindapsus in my collection, but that makes this one a little bit more unique, though it is a very subtle difference to my Silver Cloud, which is over there, but it's enough of a difference. I don't think they look completely identical. It's working on a new leaf right here. I think there's 3 plants in this pot and 2 of them are climbing pretty well. This plant has been growing very well for me since I got it earlier this year. And I do think the leaves are either maintaining size or actually growing in size. So that is another plus. It loves life on a moss pole. I really think Scindapsus, they just need to be climbing to live their best lives. And it is rooting into the pole. So there's a root going in right there. That is really nice. And then I think on this side, there's some new roots that are trying to go into the pole as well. It has not sort of rooted out of the pot yet, which is great. I do see some new root growth on the side, but other than that, it's just living life. It is a plant that did come in soil, and I just added some moss and chunky things that I like to grow in, so when I do eventually uppot it, I will add more of my preferred medium, but I didn't want to disturb the plant too much when I first repotted it. But it is just loving life, and this is, I think, the perfect growth rate for a Scindapsus. It puts out a few leaves here and there. It's not growing too fast. It's not growing too fast where I have to repot it right away, and it's just looking really nice. This is a really nice, presentable specimen of a Scindapsus. It's just really pretty to look at, and it is very unproblematic. It's just so easy to grow. All these Scindapsus, except for like one, have just been the most easygoing plants in the whole world, and that is what I need in a plant. So I am very much enjoying them, and that's why I'm gonna keep talking about Scindapsus, because I cannot believe more people don't grow such easy plants. They are really wonderful. You just gotta keep them watered, and that's about it. I am so lazy about fertilizing, so I really just water and fill up moss as they grow in the pole, and this one is doing really well. I know this plant continues to just get crazier and crazier, but it is a part of my collection, and it's just another one of those where it's not high on my priority list to fix, just because it's doing well. So this is my Scindapsus Platinum that I bought over 2 years ago for $25, and it is huge, and it is gangly, and it's just running all over the place. And while I really want a pretty climbing platinum. This is just what I've got to deal with at the moment, and it's so rooted in this pole. Look at this thick root. Like, I'm never fixing that, honestly. So, oh my gosh, it goes all the way up here. That root is from this leaf and this node. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, that's never getting fixed. But anyway, maybe one day I'll start the plant over. But for now, I always have cuttings. I will show you I have 2 whole boxes of cuttings from this plant. So it's not like I'm not trying. It just, when Scindapsus put out runners, they grow so much faster than when they're growing leaves. And so I can never keep up. I chop it back, and then it just keeps growing. So this is evidence that I have chopped this plant back. And here, more evidence that I do chop the plant. But it is just putting out more runners than I can keep up with. And like the silver lady, I would like to fix it one day. Not super high on the priority list just because it is manageable the way it is right now. Would I like it to be prettier and more presentable and aesthetically pleasing? Yes, but it is a happy plant. I can only say that about it. It's very happy, so it is low on the priority list for now. But one day I will fix it and it'll look the most beautiful, aesthetically pleasing that it could be, kind of like the rest of the Scindapsus shelf over there. But for now, this is what it's gonna look like. This is one of my boxes of platinum props. So these are nodes that I took pretty recently. So here's all the nodes. There's one with a leaf right there. And there are a couple, I think they're either Silver Lady or Tricolor. I forgot to label them, so I'll have to wait and see. So that's one of those over there. But this is all platinum here, just waiting for them to grow a bit, and then I will put them in the prop box with the other Scindapsus platinum cuttings that I'll show you in a second. But this is proof I'm constantly taking cuttings of this plant trying to fix it, and I just can't keep up. Here's my other prop box, and I do on top of this have a few that are on the propagation shelf in the corner of my plant room that are bigger. These all I think just have one leaf. Yeah, so they just have one leaf coming out of the node, but these were some of the bigger leaves. So I wanted to get them out of that little prop box as soon as I can. And they're just growing happily as well. So many platinums, so many. This is one of the easiest plants to grow, honestly. And it is probably one of the most easygoing Scindapsus. It's just growing like a weed. I do not fertilize it at all. And it just keeps growing. So this is a very hardy plant, if you couldn't tell. The rest of the plants in this video will be from my Scindapsus shelf. I'm just so proud of this shelf, guys. It looks so, so good. There are a few plants that need work, like that one right there, but it's just so aesthetically pleasing. It is the highlight of my plant room, and if I could, I'd probably make the top of every single cabinet in here and all the shelves on the other side just Scindapsus. That might be the eventual goal because they are the most sustainable plants in my collection, but for now, I'm really enjoying this shelf. It's just very perfectly curated for me, I think. My favorite genus, it's got some Pokemon, it's got some really cool bugs and butterflies, so I'm enjoying that quite a bit. For the rest of these, we'll just be moving down the Scindapsus shelf because while I do have a couple of Scindapsus in my living area, they're not really, in my mind, part of my houseplant collection. They're not cared for in the same way. They're not really grown for the aesthetics of the plant so much as to just have a plant in my living area, if that makes sense. So starting with the plant that is normally behind me on the edge here, I have my Scindapsus Mayari, and this is a plant that unfortunately has grown a runner on one side, and so I am planning on chopping this up at some point. I feel like though with Scindapsus runners, I'm not always in a rush. I know I keep saying this about my Scindapsus with runners today, but they're such stable plants that I don't have to focus on chopping up the runner right away, and it'll just keep growing. And given that this is a variegated plant, I mean, this runner, the whole stem, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but the entire stem is actually variegated. So, and these leaves have super high variegation. They're gorgeous, by the way, but it's just not really something that I need to worry about. Plus, I have another plant in the pot, and it did just put out this gorgeous leaf right here, and there are no runners here. So I do have a plant that will be climbing up the pole, And when the time is right, I will focus on propagating this one. I would love to make this plant more full and focus on some of the better variegation. So one of these cuttings, if it grows really well, will go back into this pot, at least one. So I think that will be good in the long term. I mean, it is a nicely variegated plant, just these leaves, but it's not the highest down here in terms of variegation. So having something like this putting out consistently high variegation is just gonna add a pop of color to this pot that I think it really needs to look more like a Mayari, because from a distance, it doesn't look very highly variegated, but there's a decent amount here. And the new leaf, it's got a nice amount right here, but something like this is a really nice addition to the pot. So that'll be the focus when I get around to this plant. I think it will propagate pretty nicely, as most of my Scindapsus do. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I can actually get it behaving going up the pole, because I am bummed. I was really on top of this plant, but I was determined to put out a runner no matter what, which is what Scindapsus can do sometimes. It is their one, I think, major flaw, is that even if you do everything right, this can still happen. And I hate gaps. I hate gaps like this in between the leaves, which is why I usually don't just have one vine growing up a pole. I like to have multiple just to cover up for some of these gaps. But given that the second plant in here is pretty small, it is glaringly obvious at the moment. It's okay, it's not the end of the world. I have a lot of nodes to work with, but there's some work to do before this plant is in the place where I'd really like it to be. Speaking of variegated plants, this is the Scindapsus Halimoon that I showed off in my September favorites video. It doesn't have any new leaves since then, so there's not too much to report, but I am happy that the leaf size is going up. That is what one of the goals is to get nice big pillowy leaves out of my Scindapsus that are shingling. They do one or the other, but both are great. And it is working on rooting into the pole right here, which is another plus. So not too much, just because I recently talked about this plant, but it is gorgeous. Here is my beautiful Scindapsus Jade Satin. Now this plant, I have some work to do. There is a vine right in here that will soon need to be attached with this Velcro. There are two vines climbing, and then there is one in the back of the pot that is trailing. So that's what's going on here. But I do think I will finally have to chop this up because it's just grown past the pole. I think I might have to put it on the floor to show you guys. Yes, so this is the top. So it is sitting on the floor now, and it's vining out. It's got gaps and it's too tall. It has actually almost reached the ceiling when I have it on the shelf. So I need to chop it back down. It needs to be a more manageable size. So I am planning on doing that at some point. Like I said, with Scindapsus, not a rush to do that, but I would like to get at least the longer vine here chopped sooner rather than later. This one might be higher on the priority list. I do love how big and pillowy the leaves still are. It is looking at sort of putting out runners, though it doesn't want to. So it's not quite as eager to put out a runner as some of my other Scindapsus, which is nice. I am a little worried about this sunburn look on it. I don't have it super close to light. It's in the back, and like I've mentioned before, this is one of the most low light areas in my plant room. So I don't know why it constantly has this sunburn look on the leaves, but I mean, it's just something I deal with. The lower leaves don't really have that, but the leaves up here are a bit lighter. You can see the veins, so that looks like a little bit of sunburn to me, but I'm not quite sure what I do about it because there's not really a darker place to put this plant. So just a little TLC for this plant, and then I think it'll be in the place where I want it. But there's nothing wrong with a plant that's growing too well. That's a problem I'd love to have versus a plant dying on me, if that makes sense. Back to my variegated Scindapsus. This is my Mangarai that I bought, oh my gosh, a year ago now? I can't believe that was a year ago. So it did originally have two vines climbing up, but one of them got root rot and died, unfortunately. So this is what I've got left. I do have a cutting from a top cut from that vine that I'm trying to save, but unfortunately, yeah, this is what I've got to work with. The new variegation is very high though, which is great. It does seem to get more thirsty than some of my other Scindapsus, and I feel like I just watered this plant and it's already dry, but I'm also trying to not rot this plant out. So this one is a little bit more finicky than some of the others in my collection. I would like to get this attached to the pole soon, but this might end up being a prop project just because I would like to get it to be more stable and not sad all the time, because I feel like of my Scindapsus, this is one of my top 2 that is the most sad. I have one other one that I'll show in a little bit that is kind of sad as well, but it's so pretty. I would like it to behave better, but for now, it's okay. I mean, from a distance, you can't really tell that it's a bit on the sad side, but it's just always thirsty or it has root rot. I feel like there is no in between with this plant. And for another variegated beauty, I have my Jade Satin Aurea. It just put out. The most recent leaf is extremely high variegated. This is not something I encourage my plants to do because this makes me nervous all the time, but it's very slow to grow. It's probably one of the slower Scindapsus in my collection, especially given that I've had it over 2 years, I want to say. So it is what it is with this one. The stem does still have some green. It's mostly yellow, but it's got green. I'm just waiting on a new leaf. I'm hoping it's somewhere more in this range. This is my ideal right here. This is fine too, or this is fine. It did put out a mostly yellow leaf once that melted, so I'm a little concerned about this right here, but it is a beautiful plant. It does stand out in my collection. It is the only Aurea variegated Scindapsus I have, so it is the most unique, I would say, and the leaf size is great. I'm really happy about how big this leaf is. I would just like a little bit more green. I'd like it to grow a teensy bit faster, and I'd like a little bit more green, but that's it for this guy really. I need to check, see how well it's rooted. I did just water this yesterday. So yeah, no roots out of the bottom yet, which is good. I like that unlike some Hoyas, these don't get root bound too quickly, so I can actually enjoy them in their planters for a while before I have to upsize them. And that leads me to my other sad boy, which is my green form, snake sail, hask, whatever you want to call it. This plant is also dealing with root rot, and it's just tough because it is thirsty, and then I water it and then it gets some root rot, and I'm trying to find the right balance with this plant. Luckily, it has not had anything die off yet, though I might have to turn this into a prop project because this is the only vine I have of this plant. So yeah, I'm a little concerned about it, but if need be, I can propagate it. That's totally okay. It is really pretty, and so I hope that I can keep it alive. I did sort of water it yesterday, the day before I fully diagnosed the issue. I just thought it was really thirsty, but it turns out it was root rot. So yeah, hopefully I didn't do too much damage to it. I'm really gonna let it dry out this time before I decide if I want to propagate it or try to keep it the way that it is. I do have some space right here to take a nice shingling top cut and then figure out what I want to do with the rest if need be. But something has to happen with this plant. I really am leaning toward propagating it just because I would like it to be doing better, and I would preferably like more than one of a pole, but the way that this one shingles so tight, I might not have room for that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with it, but I would be really devastated if I lost this one. This is a very unique one in my collection. I know that they're pretty cheap now, but I do enjoy it. I have good memories of when I bought it. I bought so many Scindapsus that day at PlantCon. So I'd obviously like to keep it alive, but it is a little bit more on the sad side, unfortunately. Back to some happy Scindapsus. I've got my Tricolor, which is growing so well. Like the Silver Lady, this is one that I wasn't in love with at first, but I do really like the high contrast of colors on the leaves. It's just more of the dark versus the Silver Lady is more of the silver. And so I think it's a great Scindapsus actually to have. It's been growing really well. There's so many plants in this pot. I thought it was gonna be really overwhelming, but they're all growing at different rates. So it's very bushy down here, but then it's starting to climb up the pole. So I think it looks really nice. This is one that is definitely on the easy side, which is great. It's super manageable when it's thirsty, starts to wilt, I water it, and it's good for a while. So I would highly recommend one like this. It's just been doing so well for me, and it really sparkles in the morning light, I've noticed, because I have an east-facing window in here. So it really lights up this area in the morning, and this one is especially sparkly and shiny, and it's so, so pretty. So it's just been doing really well. I'm working on a new leaf right there. I think this is gonna be a new leaf soon here. So it's got new growth all around. This was a very recent new leaf, so I don't expect another one up here for a while, but it is gorgeous. I would love it to get some bigger leaves. I would love them to get fuller, bigger, more pillowy. I really think it'll be just so striking if it's got leaves the size of the Jade satin, but I'll have to wait quite a while for that, I think. If in a year this thing is still climbing, I don't have to chop it at all, I think it'll get to that point. But I just want to chop it now. Sometimes I don't want to wait, but I think it's going to be so, so pretty in the future as it grows. This is the last of my PlantCon Scindapsus, and it's another one that I'm going to have to work on. I haven't decided whether or not I should just put on another pole, because I could chop this one back. This is the less variegated vine on the plant. There's 2 vines on it. Totally forgot to mention, this is my Scindapsus Peasun, by the way, but this is the new leaf on the higher variegated side, which is great. Here's another leaf. So it's this vine that I would be chopping, and I feel like chopping it might be beneficial to pull out some variegation. And the stem here, see, that's lighter and more variegated than this side. So it's got a good stem, but not all of the leaves that it's produced here have had variegation. So I feel like this could use a chop, and then I've still got this stem that's growing. So I'm leaning toward that. I do have it in a bigger pot than most of the other Scindapsus here. Yeah, and it's actually got a root coming out of it. That's funny, considering I just put it in a huge pot right away. But it is growing really well. It has been very unproblematic, other than the fact that it grew a little too well on the non-variegated side, but I think it's got a good balance, this plant, of leaves that are highly variegated and leaves that aren't, so it creates a really nice look. I don't mind having a section of it that isn't as well variegated, and as always, when I do chop it, I like to put another piece back in the pot, so I'll probably do that. I'll pick a nicely variegated one, hopefully around 50-50, throw it in there and just create a fuller look. But this is doing really well. I'm really happy with it overall, and until I do get it chopped, you'll notice I have it kind of hanging off of these little butterfly taxidermies back there. So it's a cool little look for now. It won't be permanent because I will be chopping this eventually, but like I said with all the other Scindapsus, there's no rush right now. Finally, we've made it to the last Scindapsus in my collection, and it's a beauty. I saved a good one for last. This is my Scindapsus Silver Cloud from E&E Plants, and I am loving how big these leaves are. It's only got 4 leaves. There is one down here. Kind of forget about it because it's the original leaf. But these 3, the way that they just hang off the pole, and they're so big, so pillowy for just a little plant, it's perfect. This is what I want out of every Scindapsus. And I bought this plant on such a whim. It was such an impulse buy, but oh man, I do not regret it at all. This is what I want at every Scindapsus. They can just look like this forever, and that would be great. So maybe in the future, some of these, I'll be taking some top cuts and starting them over so that they look like this, because wow, this plant could just be 3 leaves forever and just look like this forever, and I think it was perfect. It almost reminds me of how anthurium leaves all face the same way, but so this is kind of shingling, but also giving me that pillowy vibe, and it's just, it can do no wrong. This plant can do absolutely no wrong. I love the mottled look. I love how shiny and sparkly it is. It's much more prominent in the silver than the blue splash that I have, and it's just, oh, the way it reflects the light is absolutely perfect. So this has been such an easygoing plant for me. It has grown at a pretty steady rate, and it does actually have roots coming out of the bottom of the pot. So maybe in a leaf or 2, I'll think about repotting it, but it's so funny because it's not objectively a big plant on the surface, but it is starting to outgrow this pot. So this might be one that I think about repotting in the near future. But other than that, I will just enjoy the heck out of it because it is gorgeous. This is stunning, stunning. Do you agree? Do Do you like it? Do you like my Scindapsus? You just like hanging out on the shelf, don't you? Yeah, you do. So that's it for today's video, going over all the updates in my Scindapsus collection. Maybe by the next one I'll add another Scindapsus to my collection. I am always looking to add one, but I never seem to find one at the right time. So if you know of a good place where I can get more, especially variegated Scindapsus, I am all ears. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to give Nutmeg and I here a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here on the channel. Thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next one.